Hi guys, welcome back to Raftel TCG. My name's Connor, and I'm here with an Ivankov deck. Really interesting leader, counterintuitive to the game, just wanting to have less cards in hand so you can filter through your good cards and what you want to get to and get that prize card going. Now, something to note about this deck, it does kind of timber on the line of we're really good or we're really bad. It's always very interesting to see your matchups going with this, because if you're winning, you're winning. If you're losing, you're losing. But to try and supplement that, we've put a lot of time into this and a lot of effort to make it the most seamless way to play it, and hopefully you like it. So first off, we have our searcher for the deck, the Buggy. Really interesting card. It lets you add any impel down blue card, which is fantastic for the deck, especially with the combos that go into it later. Really fantastic to just get this going early. If you don't get this going early, hopefully you see your Corona early, which everybody pretty much knows what Corona does. You look at the top 5, order them any way you want, put them on the top or the bottom. Both of them are 1K counters, and both of them have 2K attack. Doesn't really matter for that, but sometimes in a pinch, being able to put Dawn, just 3 Dawn underneath it, just really helps you out. Next, we are running a really weird ratio for this deck. We're going 2 laws. Now, I like the 2 laws just because I feel like with this deck, blockers are really important, but it depends on what blockers you do. And having a low cost option is also very good. The bad part is that since this triggers the end phase, if you need to toss this, you're okay with tossing it. But if you open it up, putting it down, not a bad option. Next, the name of the game is Counter. So we're running 4 of this card. Honestly, I don't know how to pronounce it, so please be kind to the comments. But really we're just running her as a 2K counter. Her effect isn't really that relevant for the deck, but it is nice to have those 2K counters with effects that you can trigger, and plus always being able to add 2 Dawn, 1 Dawn, however many Dawn you need to a card, always really useful. And then next after her, we're running 2 of the 3 cost Boa Hancock. She's not good unless you run it as the trigger. If you don't hit in trigger, it is just a 1K counter. If you have it in hand and it's your only play, sure. But other than that, a 3 cost 1K blocker, not even that good to play. So we kind of supplement her with the actually good Boa Hancock, which is a really good counter. And a little counterintuitive to what the deck wants. With this one, you're drawing, whereas the deck kind of wants you to be at that low resource so you can gain those resources. But continually just being able to go through your cycle and say, hey, this card I need, we need to get it, is really nice. And that's why we run starting out with the Buggy and the Corona, trying to get what that is. Now, going forward, these will probably be Doflamingos, just because that is a better blocker and it helps you filter through those cards a lot easier. Next, we have another slot just for 2K counters, and that is our Draco Mihawk. Also, not a horrible card to play because it is 4 cost 5K. You can hit their leader. And the effect is not horrible because you draw 2, trash 2. With the Ivankov, you're just trying to cycle through those cards. Having a relevant effect for the deck is really good, and that's pretty much all I can say about Draco Mihawk. Next though, we do have our main blocker for the deck, Inazume. Really good, especially for this deck where you're trashing cards, doing whatever. Being able to have a static effect of getting 2K power, always really useful for this deck, because if you're countering for 6, like they swing at you for 6, you counter with a 2K, have 1 card in hand, This now is a 7K blocker. So you just block whatever they swing with you next. And even on your turn, let's say that you attack with this, with one card in your hand, that's 7K going directly to them. Something that is important to this deck that I like to mention is that most of these cards all have at least 1K counter. So it's not like you're not able to discard for the cost of, you know, countering up, or discard for the cost of something else. You're never in that position where, do I discard, do I keep? You're always pretty comfortable with this deck. Next, we have another 2K counter, Mr. Bonker. Really interesting card. You know, it is 5 costs and it is also a 2K counter, and that's mainly what you use it for. But he's still being able to, any card that's being able to utilize that, you know, discard control type thing, it's really important for the deck. So that way we can cycle, we can get stuff, we can do whatever we need. Next, what we have is for just plain old Crocodile. You know, not a big counter, but a big boy to swing with. He's really important with the 7-drop Ivankov, just because if you 7-drop Ivankov, don't have Luffy, putting out a 7K attacker, always a good option. 5 is a sweet spot number. It's not going to be taken care of super early, and since this is kind of like a mid-game deck, it's really safe to do that because they are committing something to getting this Crocodile off, because nobody wants to have to discard 2. Next, the heart and soul of the deck is 4 Monkey D Luffy and 4 Ivankov. Now, this combo is the bread and butter of this deck. Being able to play Ivankov, draw until you have 3, then play a Monkey D Luffy. Then Monkey D Luffy, trash those 2 extra cards in your hand, send one of those cards back, and he has double attack. The only thing that would make this combo better is if this Monkey D Luffy also had rush. But, you know, we can't be too picky on this. We got the cards that we need, and having double attack, being able to rip 2 lives if we connect, just makes this card just all that much better. And Ivankov being able to cycle through your deck is just fantastic. Really an underrated card, and I think that we're going to see a lot of this whenever the Treasure Cups start firing off those online regionals. Next, we're only playing 3 Draco Mihawk. He is like the backup plan. If Luffy's not going, you play him, you send something back, and you have a 9K. It really is not fun that he is a 9-drop 9K instead of a 9-drop 10K like usually, but you know that it's just stuff that we have to do. We need our big boss monster, and hopefully in the future we get something that can replace Mihawk, but right now he is our biggie baddie. Next, going on the events, we're only running 2 Gum Gum Rains. It's a 0 cost. The only reason we're running 2 is because sometimes in those situations you don't want to trash that card. It's just not beneficial, especially with the count of 2K counters that we're running. Trashing a card isn't always the most beneficial at that point, but being able to say, hey, we need this counter, go ahead and do that. 3K instead of 1K, never a bad point. And then we're running just 3 Comma Lands. Comma Land is really good in trying to filter through the deck and see, but it does make this deck more of a consistent build, you know, because if I draw into Boa Hancock and I new Comma Land for 1, and I draw into Ivankov, I have a potential to play Ivankov, draw 3 more cards, and maybe take the game away that way. Just the synergy of the deck is, let's keep going and keep pushing past and get to that point. But yeah, that's our version of Ivankov right now. Of course, all of our decks, continually working on them, continually getting better, and just trying to grow with each other. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope this helps you in your journey on building Ivankov. This is Connor from Raftel CCG, signing off.